Welcome back, family. How you doing? This is your old school traveler. I'm telling you about the latest city I've been to. Yes, yes, yes. That's Denver, Colorado. Now, I actually like Denver. I like a lot of things about Denver, but there's some things I don't like about it. First of all, Denver is expensive. It wasn't always that way. People moved to Denver back in the 70s and 80s and 90s. And then, even the early 2000s, people moved there because they did not want to pay California and East Coast style prices for houses and for living arrangements. No, they didn't want to do none of that. Well, guess what? Those people made prices in Denver go up a lot. Yes, they did. They made those prices in Denver. Houses in Denver now $500,000. Hotels are still not too bad because Denver got a lot of new and upcoming areas. Maybe they're not new and upcoming. Maybe they just been there for a while. But the suburbs of Denver is going crazy. The suburbs really go between Colorado Springs and Denver. Yeah, you got a couple of mountains in the way, but other than that though, pretty much one big megapolis now. One big megapolis. Now, saying that, Denver got a housing problem, big time. Like I said, the prices are expensive, but they got a lot of homeless too. Some people don't consider Denver a Western city. It is. It has a lot of the same problems that Seattle, San Fran, LA. It has a lot of the same problems. So Denver got its own issues and problems. Denver is definitely a area of have and have nots. It's a lot of Denver just don't have. I don't know if people taking their money and going to the weed shops because they got a lot of marijuana shops. I don't know if people are spending their money there or if people are just down on their luck, just unemployable. I don't know. But they got some issues. And when I said that Denver's expensive, I don't mean just the housing problems. They got a lot of those. I don't mean just that. What I meant to say is that, what I want to add to that, Denver toll roads like the E470, that's ridiculous. Those prices are crazy. That's the moneymaker. If people take it, it forces you to drive through a city with two freeways that go directly through the city, I-70, I-25, and there's no beltway. There is no Western beltway. Nope. You can't circle the city going west. You can only circle the city going east. And then you got to get on the 470, which is probably the most expensive toll road in America. The alternative is to take I-70 through Denver or I-25 if you're going north and south through Denver. And I-25 is expensive. It's not expensive. It's expensive in time. Traffic crawls through Denver on I-25 or I-70. Traffic crawls. But let's talk about some of the good stuff about Denver, though. If you are an outdoors person, you won't find many cities better than Denver. If you love the outdoors, I'm going to tell you how outdoors it is. They have 4 seasons, and all those seasons are great seasons. They have a nice summer. It gets hot as hell. They have winter. They have fall and spring, which is beautiful in Denver. The winter, if you are an outdoors person and you love to ski or just be out on the trails during the wintertime, man, Denver is the city for you. It's the city for you. Denver got a little everything for everybody. It is definitely a foodie city. People in Denver, they are foodies because a lot of them are fairly young. It's not an old person city. It's not an old person city. Even though they try and do some old folks things, it's not an old folks city. If you're old, you're just going to damn die in the wintertime because the snow is going to freeze you in. So I'm saying that because Denver got a lot of microbrews. If you like that local brewed beer that's nowhere else, Denver is the city for you. The only place I saw only 2 cities that had more microbrews than Denver did per capita. That was Portland, Oregon, not Maine. Nobody wants to damn maple beer. And that was Colorado Springs, which is about an hour south of Denver. Well, it used to be an hour south. Now who knows the traffic the way it is. But they got a lot of microbrews too. So Denver got they got a food scene. They one of the few cities that truly have a food scene that say they have one. A lot of cities say they have one. They don't. I've been to them all. They don't. But Denver has one. So they have a food scene. And the good thing about Denver is that they regulate food trucks. So you're not too worried about getting sick. But if you're an outdoors person, you already know you're not going to get sick. You already know you can overcome. Now, the one thing that's weird about Denver that I thought was odd, and maybe because I see a lot of cars and large trucks, that is Subaru heaven. Everybody in Denver got a damn Subaru. The Outback. Everybody got one. Yeah, every other car has one. Every other car not has one, was one. I was shocked at how many Subarus I seen in Denver. Because I'm like, who in America buys Subarus? They advertise like crazy. But I knew somebody was buying them. And so I know now where it is. I tell you why they all got Subarus. Two reasons. They all love the Outbacks and they all love bison. When I say Denver was a foodie scene, Denver got a restaurant for almost any kind of food you want. They got one for every kind of food. I didn't see a lot of Asians, and I was kind of happy that when I hit barbecue, I did see regular American barbecue. More importantly, I saw food that you don't see on the East Coast or the West Coast, like bison, elk. Oh, yeah, Denver got it all. Let me tell you a story about my son. When I took my son to Denver, I told him, I said, a bison. Now, I don't know how he didn't know this, considering he has a college degree. I said, bison's a lot bigger than cows. He said, well, I can eat 3 beef ribs. And so he went and ordered some bison ribs, thinking that they were the same size as baby backs. When the guy brought the bison ribs, it looked like something out of a Fred Flintstone cartoon. It was Brontosaurus ribs. Those things were so big, and I knew he could not eat it all at one time. And I knew I was not going to help him because I was having elk burger. So I knew. So I decided for the next week, he was going to eat those damn ribs from a buffalo. He was going to eat them. They have a chain of restaurants called Montana, and they had some of the best bison I've ever had. Now, I've had bison North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana. Basically, any place that Native Americans used to dominate got bison. But you'd be surprised some places don't have it, like Idaho. I was kind of shocked by that. But anyway, I had bison ribs, bison burger, elk ribs, elk burger. If it has a hoof, I ate the hell out of it. Now, let's talk about, the outdoors. No matter what you want to do, you can do it in Denver. And sometimes if you want to do 2 different extreme sports or extreme weather things, you wait long enough in Denver, you get 2 different weathers in one day. Snow don't bother nobody. The heat didn't bother anybody, but I'm gonna tell you what does bother everybody. That's the fact that they are a mile up, so they don't call it the Mile High City for nothing. So if you're not in the best of health, you might not want to just jump into Denver. You might want to go something at a little lower elevation first. If not, you're going to find your ass dead. It is what it is. That's just how Denver rolls. So saying that, the people in Denver, a lot of young people. Denver got a diverse economy. Now saying that, the airport is way away from the city. And like I said, houses cost more, but so do gas, than the East Coast. Housing and gas, damn near everything in Denver is about the same as East Coast. Actually, it's higher than the East Coast. It used to be you got a lot of land for the same amount of money. Not anymore. You buy a house in Denver, it's like buying a house. And when I say Denver, I'm talking about the suburbs too, like Aurora. Yeah, Denver got a lot of colleges, but Aurora is is what you call the haves area. Now they got some other areas that are nice, but Aurora is just growing just as fast as Denver. All your big box stores, all that kind of crap's out there, But those people in Aurora, ain't nobody poor out there. No. When people in Denver got money, they left and moved to Aurora or Boulder or some other area like that. Yeah, they definitely not the have-nots. The have-nots are your weed smokers, and people who had, some bad luck in life. I'm not even calling it luck. Did some things that wasn't smart in life, made some bad decisions. Sometimes you got to make a decision and both of them are bad. You got to make one of them. So move on with the one you got to make and get started. But Denver is definitely a city of have and have-nots. It's definitely that. But I feel like Denver's city, if you have nothing, you can make it. I don't feel that way in most cities because a lot of these cities, either your race, your culture, or your education level, something's going to hold you back. Something's going to hold you back. But I feel that in Denver, you can start with nothing and you can be all right if you work hard and you manage everything the way it should be managed. But I feel that in Denver, you can make it. I don't feel that you got to already come there with something. I think because when I was downtown Denver, you see these little cupcake shops, you see these little bookstores, little coffee shops. They're not like it's a place that got 85 employees. They got 2 and 3 employees who had an idea and they made it work. And I feel that you can make it work too in Denver. I think that if you got nothing at all, you can go to Denver. And like a lot of big cities, you just got to find the right location, which we know that's the key. And you'll be all right. You'll be all right. And like I said earlier, the airport, as big as that airport is, it's got to be employing half the people in Denver. It's got to have 30, 40,000 employees easily. So, between them and Amazon, I think you'll be all right in Denver. I don't think that your race, your culture, your education level, I don't think any of those can hold you back. Only you can hold you back in Denver. Now, saying that, they got nice parks, nice zoos, and like I said, they got a homeless problem, but it's not like the West Coast. No. But they got one, and with the price of new houses in Denver nowadays, they're gonna have a housing problem for a while, because builders don't build houses cheaper than the last guy did. That's not how it works. No, builder build houses more expensive than the last guy because the last guy sold out, and they know they can sell out with the same construction workers. They know how it works. They're not there for you. They're there for themselves, and they have been and always will be. Now, saying it about Denver is kind of growing between Boulder and Colorado Springs. That used to be 2 distinct cities. Not anymore. Not anymore. It's all the same. It's all the same city. Now, I've been to Denver with my buddy Josh from work, with a few people. And but also I've been for a family reunion and I stayed a week. And I'll probably go back again early next year after the snow. Because prices out there in Aspen and other places jump like crazy when it's snow. Because, they know people will pay for snow. For some reason, people pay for snow and pay for water. You put them near water, they'll pay a fortune. You put them in snow, they'll pay a fortune. That's when I like to sell, and that's who I like to sell to. Now, saying that, if Denver got these museums and these other things, other stuff to do, but, Denver also got a large military presence, at Buckley. You won't notice that because they kind of keep to themselves, and the civilians that work out there keep to themselves. They all live in Aurora, so you're not going to see them in what they call proper Denver, not very often. And plus, it's no need for them to go down there because the suburbs got everything you want. You want to go to Costco, Sam's Club, Target, wherever. It's all out in the suburbs. Downtown Denver got some things too, but downtown it's very, very clean. I can't say that. It's very, very clean. So I did appreciate that about Denver, and I tried some of the restaurants down in Denver, and like I said, it's got great food. My idea was going where they had the buffalo. I went where the buffalo roam, or used to, until they got slaughtered and then they got put on my plate. So I did a lot of that kind of stuff in Denver, but I enjoyed it because I went during the time of the season. I expected for spring to be spring, summer to be summer. And yes, I got both of them. And Denver can get 100 degrees. During the summer when I was there, it never got above 85. Now, I said during the summer, during the week and a half, I was there for a family reunion. But also, Denver is a great place to go visit other national parks. And when I say a great place, you can start there with Pikes Peak, and then you can go and visit other national parks in Wyoming, Utah, Nebraska, Arizona. It's a great place to start your tour, to start. It's kind of like Vegas. Even if Vegas, if you don't get into all the gambling and everything else, you can go, within 3 hours and visit other national parks. Colorado, Denver, the exact same way. You can start there, and within 3 or 4 hours, you can visit about 7 or 8 other national parks. It's not that, they are not that far. It's not that bad. And not only that, all the roads out that lead to Denver, or lead from Denver, straight, flat, and don't really go anywhere but national parks. Well, unless you count Wyoming, and that's one of those states that I don't think we need, unless you count, Wyoming. But other than that, though, you can just, drop 80 miles an hour and you can go to any place you want to go. You can go any place you want to go. So don't be afraid to use Denver as your staging area to do other things. And every airline, everybody flies to Denver. I don't care where you at. You got a direct flight from wherever you from. Denver is going to be somewhere that your hometown airport flies to. If not, you only got one hop. But, luckily I'm on the East Coast and everybody goes to Denver. Every airline. So the thing about Denver, I say they got a very vibrant food scene, but I didn't see a lot of Asian type, which I'm fine with that because that's not my thing. Because I lived in Asia, that's not my thing. I like certain Asian dishes, but I'm not somebody who wants to have Thai, Vietnamese, Cambodian, Chinese, Korean, Indian. I don't want to have that every night. Don't want to have it. Nope. I'm a meat and potatoes type person who thinks that if it's got a hoof, I'm good to go. The one thing about people, people talk about fresh foods that gets me about Denver. When people talk about seafood, Denver is not near a coast. I don't know how fresh your seafood is, but the nearest flight from the coast, east or west, is going to be about 2.5 hours, maybe 3. So when on the East Coast, when we say fresh, even when I was in Boston, your lobster might be an hour old, But so don't go to Denver and look for seafood. Go get something that grazes, because they got a lot of flat land around Denver. Not in Denver, but when you go east of Denver, you got all the prairies, all the flat stuff. Even down to Texas, you got all kind of food. Just go get something that grazes, because it's gonna be good, and they know how to cook it. It's gonna be very, very good. Don't be out there talking about I want some salmon. Hell no. If you're on the coast, get some salmon. But if you're out in Denver, treat it like Texas. Go get something that holds its head to the ground and eat grass with pride. Do that. That's where you can get all the good stuff from. But Denver can have you busy for maybe 3 days at the most. It's not a week-long city. And see, I say that because, they eat kind of like West Coast people. They like a lot of healthy stuff, where I like a lot of tasty stuff. So that's the difference. If it's healthy and it's tasty, I'm winning. But if I gotta have one of the two, it's gonna be tasty. Because I can walk off the health part. But if you eat healthy food, you can't add the taste part. You see what I mean? So it's a big difference. So my whole point is, when you go out there, use it for a number of reasons. But I like hiking and I like national parks. So I make it a point of doing all that. And Denver had all that. And crime in Denver, they got their share of crime, but they also segregate themselves from crime too by having these little suburbs that you can't see what someone has. You got to look over a wall to see what they got. If you look over a wall, somebody's property, you probably end up losing an eye, or your head totally. So, they do that a lot. The haves definitely distance themselves from the have-nots. And the crime, they have a lot of dangerous accidents, but they have a lot of crime. When I say they have a lot, it's Denver proper, not the suburbs. But you don't really want to go to the city and feel like you're locked in, that you can't go anywhere else. You feel like you got to stay in your little, your little village, and you can't. It's kind of like having a one of those dog alarms around your yard. The dog runs into it, and the electric shocks the shit out of him. You don't want to live that kind of life. That's not living a life of Denver. But a lot of people do it because they don't want to be downtown or with the have-nots. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not looking to be with the have-nots either. But I ain't looking to be around just haves either. I like a balance, not necessarily have-nots and haves. I like to see somebody in between too. And I always say I'm a middle-class person. I don't want to be hanging out with people who are just fake and wealthy, or wealthy and fake, and people who are poor. No, but I want to be able to go to anywhere I want to go in my neighborhood, in my city, or my area without looking over my shoulder or fear that I'm going to get shot. I don't want to do that either. It's kind of like when you go visit a city, it ain't the same as when you live there. When you visit, you see all the good stuff. When you live there, you see a little both. And you'll know you see a little both. But my whole point is, Denver's about a 2 to 3 day city, and hotels, the embassy suites are not expensive. They actually are cheaper than what I thought they were, but just take a chance and just see what Denver got to offer you, and let me know how it turns out for you. Peace out. This is the Old School Traveler.